Well, thanks everyone for having me. I've got some slides to share, but this is a nice small relaxed group, clearly. So please feel free to, stop me at any point and ask questions. I'm basically here so I've been working with WeShare Solar for the past 8 years on the side, and now I'm doing it full time. And when I first learned about it, it just kind of blew my mind. I was a chemistry teacher. I studied materials science at university, and I'd studied a little bit of electrical engineering, but I'd always found it quite intimidating. And when I got involved with WeShare Solar and got to see students understanding the basics of DC electricity, it was just amazing because it was so accessible and so easy to relate to. And I mean, it changed my life. So I started working with this organization, and now that's what I'm doing full time. So I'm just going to present briefly on one of our main programs, which is called Power to Share. I'll show you a solar suitcase. I have one here with me, and give you kind of a bit of an overview of what we do. So this is me. If you want my email address, it's right there. My current job title is Senior Program Manager for Solar Education. And I, prior to working in this role, was a teacher. 8 years at Oakland Unified School District. I trained in London and taught there for a couple of years before moving to the Bay Area. And since I trained initially as a chemistry teacher, but since coming to Oakland really and to Skyline, my interest has gone just really into environmental science. And that's the thing that I think that's how I want everyone to learn science, is in the context of the environment, because I've just found it so engaging and just so much more accessible for students. So this is a brief agenda. I'll share some of our introductory slides, some of the data that we use in our curriculum, our program model. I'll show you a solar suitcase. I'll show you where our curriculum is and just kind of explain a little bit about how it's set up, and then finish off with the way that I could see this connecting with Globe, which, as Tracy mentioned, I taught the Globe. I did atmospheric data collection with my students while I was at Skyline. Okay, so this is the kind of the driving force behind WeShare Solar. This is a NASA composite image from 2016. The data that the quote I have at the bottom is a little bit more recent, but there are a huge number of people, about 770 million, who do not have access to electricity. And most of those people live in sub-Saharan Africa. And you can see, well, there's lots you can see on this map. There's lots of things that this map could spend spend ages talking about what this map shows. But sub-Saharan Africa is really the area that WeShare Solar is especially focused on, because that is where the majority of the people without access to electricity live. Another map that I don't know if our World in Data is such a great website. I love looking at it and finding all the different things they've got on there. This map shows population percent that don't have access to electricity, and it's even, I think this map's actually even more stark than the Earth at night image. And then I also took from the same website how electricity access has changed over the past few decades. The countries that I've chosen here are countries that we do work in. So Kenya is the main place that we have been working in over the last 10 years or so, and Uganda also. We recently are starting work on a grant that will allow us to work in South Sudan, which is really exciting, and you can see that electricity access there is really low. And our suitcases that our students build, most of them end up going to Kenya and Uganda, but we've also had deployments to the Philippines, to Nepal, to Haiti, and the healthcare side of our organization, which you can find out more about if you look us up online, has also focused in Nigeria and Liberia. So that's just interesting to see how, and it's good for students to see that, in the US, almost everybody has electricity. We also work with tribal lands where electricity access is much more limited than it is for the rest of the country. But generally, United States, almost everyone has electricity, whereas other places in the world, they do not. We focus on education and how access to electricity can improve educational outcomes for students. So the picture here just shows students at nighttime huddled around a lantern. This doesn't look like I'm not sure what kind of lantern this is, but often kerosene is what's used by people to see at nighttime, which is obviously not very sustainable. It's expensive and it's dangerous. It affects the air quality of a space, and it's a live flame, so it can cause fires. The countries that we work in, so specifically in Kenya, for students to achieve well academically and to have access to better career options, really comes down to them being able to pass tests. That's how the education system works there. So time that they can spend studying, the more time they can spend studying really does improve their economic opportunities significantly. The curriculum that we have and that is continually being developed really focuses on climate justice and sustainable development. So we have a focus on the UN Sustainable Development Goals in terms of kind of the global point of view, but then also there's a big push towards workforce development, understanding that solar jobs are increasing over time. It's a good option for people to think about as a career. You can, solar jobs could be anything from an environmental engineer to a solar installer, jobs for all different interests, and it's something that we really want students to know about. So our mission at We Share Solar is, we want to equip students for the future through solar energy education with real world impact. So the students that engage in our program get to learn about solar engineering, build something, experiment with it, and then deploy it somewhere where it's used by people in a different country. Fundamentally, we're a teacher training organization, so we develop curriculum and we train teachers. I was just in Minnesota at the weekend, which is actually our biggest state right now after California. Well, no, it's our biggest state. California is our second biggest state, where we have the most teachers. So we train teachers. We do one-day trainings in person, or we do virtual trainings. We also have curriculum that is available without any training. We then either ideally in person build suitcases with teachers so they can experience that before they do it with their students. The students then build these solar suitcases, get this really positive hands-on experience, and then the suitcases are shared, so they're deployed to communities where energy access is limited. Okay, so this is the solar suitcase kit. This is the physical stuff that a teacher would receive or a classroom would receive. So it all comes in pieces. All the wires are out. Everything has to be installed. Students get to use screwdrivers. They get to use terminal blocks, and they also have to follow instructions. So our instruction booklet is very detailed, and it really does tell you everything you need to know for how to build this. And the students get this hands-on experience of starting with something that's in pieces and then building it and seeing that it works. When a school receives this, they receive a solar panel and a battery that goes with the suitcase. But then what the suitcases that are deployed, they're sent without the battery and without the solar panel. Those are bought in country because that's a cheaper way of sourcing them, and also it helps develop the local economy. When the suitcase is deployed, the students also get a chance to build these light switch boxes. So one of these suitcases can actually light a couple of rooms in a small school building just from one of these suitcases. The battery that it is deployed with is a larger one than the one that people have in their classroom, also a larger solar panel, and other accessories are sent with the suitcase, like a USB port, headlamp, and various ways that the suitcase can be used. Here's an example of what a couple of suitcases can do. This is a picture from a few years ago, a school in Kenya called Kenya School of Excellence. This is late afternoon, so the sun hasn't completely set yet, or even, the sun hasn't set yet. You can see kind of at the back what it's like outside, but it's already dark inside the building. With just two suitcases, this large room is lit up, so students can study at nighttime. It's obviously improves safety in rural areas where there's not so much light for, using the bathroom at nighttime, etc. So you can see here the impact that these suitcases could have. Okay, I would like to show you one now. I have one right here, so I'll stop sharing. I'll just reach behind me. Think of a Solar Suitcase. So this, actually, let me unblur myself so that you can see everything. Okay. I don't know if you want to make me, well, I'm sure you can all make me bigger if you want to make me bigger. So the suitcase, when it's closed, you can see is, I can pick it up. It's not too heavy. This has a battery in it right now, a lithium-ion battery. You can see in here the basic components of a standalone solar system, which really, once you've learned about, you can design your own. It's really, this is just such an accessible system. Battery, this is the port that connects to a solar panel. I've got a 10-watt solar panel down here. These two DC receptacles connect to light, to a charger, whatever other DC things you want to plug in. And then this here is the charge controller, which is the kind of like the brains of the system. When students build this, I'll just take this out, they get really familiar with the whole system. So they learn about the wiring. They learn how to quality control test everything. So they learn how to use an amp meter or a DC or a DM multimeter to quality control, do continuity testing and check the electricity will flow before they activate the suitcase. And what's really great about this is you can take this all off and do it again. So teachers who are teaching, multiple classes, as most teachers are, a suitcase can be used again and again. So the ones that we deploy, we try and only have built once, but often programs will allow teachers to have a class set of suitcases that they keep and can kind of rebuild over and over and over again. And then students can understand all the different types of wiring, what the colors mean. We've got 3 different circuits that are going on here, that they can see how they interact through the charge controller. Yeah, I'll just pause there for a second in case anyone has any questions before I talk about, there's a question, what grade levels? Well, actually, the curriculum that I'm developing is mainly for high school, but middle school, it's great for middle school students too. I've taught some summer programs over the last couple of years with the Lawrence Hall of Science, focused on middle school students. It's a research grant from the National Science Foundation where the researchers are trying to find out whether, we have 2 summer camps. They're both 2 weeks long, and most of the content's the same, but the first summer camp, the focus is on service learning and global issues. So one of the suitcases that the students build is deployed, and they learn a lot. They learn about refugees. It's deployed to a refugee camp in Uganda, and they learn about kind of more global issues. The second camp, they do everything that is the same, but there's no deployment, but they learn more about local relevance. So they're looking at the local climate action plan and then thinking about how solar could be used in where they live. And the researchers are trying to work out whether one of those contexts is more conducive to having students see themselves as STEM professionals in the future. So yeah, middle school, we've got middle school and high school curriculum. It's very accessible for middle school kids, that in terms of the physical skills, as long as you can use a screwdriver, you can do it. So there have been, I think, a couple of schools that have done this with elementary school students, which is great. I'm sure it's a great experience, but I think the actual learning that comes with it is a bit more suited to older students. Any other questions before I talk a little bit about our curriculum? Okay, let me go back to my screen. So most of our programs are we work with funders. It's quite rare that schools themselves just are kind of able to just buy this stuff. So we're always looking for partnerships for funding. We have a small development team, and yeah, we're always looking for new opportunities to either find students that are schools that are interested or districts that are interested, to then kind of apply for funding with, or we have funders approach us or we approach funders, and then we look to recruit for programs that we have funding for. Our curriculum is constantly being improved and adapted and kind of being made more and more NGSS aligned. If we've got curriculum that anybody can see, you don't have to be signed up to one of our programs. So if you're interested in looking at it, it takes a few you have to click through a few times and sign up for something, but you're welcome at any point if you want to have a look at our curriculum. If you go to our website, then you can find the Learn tab, find Power to Share online courses, follow through the instructions. We have different programs during the pandemic. There was a program that was set up for students to kind of do by themselves. So there is an option that is just for, an individual student of means who has been able to buy a suitcase for themselves. So if you're interested in looking at our curriculum, feel free. I just see a message in the chat. For some reason, when I'm showing my screen, I cannot see my chat. So
I just put the website in there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Great. Yes, if you're interested in looking at the curriculum, please do. We're using a platform called Thinkific, which is kind of an online learning platform, but the way we've set it up is for teachers. So everything's Google Docs. People can download, access, and edit however they want to. And it's all open source, and we're always adding to it. The part of the curriculum that I'm especially interested in, and I'm always looking to develop further, is the engineering design aspect. So once students have learned how to design a standalone solar system, you can build your own, you can design your own. So we have curriculum that helps students work through the steps of how to work out what loads they want to power, how much energy they're going to need from the battery, from the solar panel, and then they can actually go through the steps to size a system, to work out what size solar panel, what size battery, find out how much that costs, and actually design their own system. I think in most cases, the focus is really on building and then learning about basic DC electricity. But we do have this opportunity to continue building. And we have had students or schools where the students have gone away and designed something and actually built it themselves at their school, in collaboration with some local solar organizations. So in terms of connections to Globe, as mentioned earlier, I loved Globe when I was teaching environmental chemistry. We did an atmospheric data collection unit and had students come to the symposium and present. And the focus on doing real science is obviously the thing that is the most meaningful for students. With the Solar Suitcase, once you've built it, it's built and it works, and you can use it in the classroom. You can charge phones. I powered like holiday lights in my classroom last year with one of these. But students can also learn how to use. There's a picture of a clamp ammeter, or you can also use a multimeter to collect voltage and current and calculate power. So we've got some curriculum that focuses on data collection and analysis. And I could see some really interesting combinations with, collecting data over the course of a week with the power that's coming in, or the solar current that's flowing into the system, and compare that with, cloud data, temperature even, because the solar panels are affected by temperature. So I think there would be some really cool ways that teachers could combine these two things if they were doing a solar suitcase, if they had solar suitcases at their school and were doing Globe. And it all connects to kind of connecting with the world, the environment, and seeing how the data that's around us affect, this set of data affects this set of data. So I think there could be some really interesting connections if there was a school that was doing both. We share solar and Globe, which my school, Skyline, hopefully is going to continue to do. So that could be a school where I'll try and encourage the new me, the teacher that's now teaching my class, to kind of think about doing that in the future. I think that's all the slides I have, all the information I have. I will stop sharing my screen. in case anybody has any questions about anything.
I have a quick question, Anna, and again, thank you very much. And I owe you an apology. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry. Tracy introduced us a while ago.
Yeah, oh no, it's fine.
I completely forgot about this.
It
So
was a while ago.
I guess I'm getting older. What can you do? So it was a pleasure communicating with you in your other capacity through Tracy as well. You're doing a great job, and congratulations on another stage in your professional career. So
Thanks.
that's a great success. I'm sure they appreciate having you on the team. My quick question is, do you have experience using this curriculum? I mean, not you, but through your program, is both in school and after school? So it's sort of in school versus after school, this kind of thing. Thank you.
Yeah, so my personal experience has definitely been more summer program related. I mainly taught it, well, I was involved in summer programs for high school students for 3 years, and now I'm doing middle school students. Because I was teaching chemistry for most of the time that I was teaching, it didn't really fit into my curriculum. But the last 2 years I was at Skyline, I was teaching sustainable systems, which is like a senior environmental science class. So the first year I was in that, we were all online, so we didn't do any of this. But last year, so I have done it in the classroom just once. But most of our teachers are doing this in the classroom. So we have teachers that have been doing this for years. They've got maybe 8 of these in their classroom that they've received from, maybe a funder bought them years ago, or they've kind of slowly collected them. And I recently actually went to an alternate continuation school in Concord in the Bay Area. So it's a school where students who are in danger of not graduating go 11th, 12th grade to get credits kind of more quickly. And I helped a teacher there. She had 5 classes, I think, throughout the day. And they kind of built they were building suitcases, and then we'd quickly pull everything out and then they'd build them again. So yeah, we have teachers who are doing this every year as part of a unit that they've been developing. And what we're working on right now, previously most of our outreach has really relied on individual teachers, but now we're trying to work more with districts. So I have a cohort of teachers in Oakland that I just met with yesterday. We have a cohort in LAUSD, where we're communicating kind of through the district. And trying to work out ways, because these are expensive, these pieces of kit are expensive. So working out ways that districts can kind of share the equipment and make it a bit more accessible for more teachers to use. The summer programs are brilliant though. Like, they've been really transformative, I think, for the students that I knew who've done them. Because when you get a group of kids for 2 weeks, you see them every single day, the whole day, you can just do a lot more than you can do in regular school. So it's really interesting kind of seeing both of those models. And the Lawrence Hall of Science here at UC Berkeley is a really great partner in terms of finding us funding and setting up all these different research grants to work out ways. Their focus is really on students of color, low income students. Also, there's a big focus on girls, getting those students to see themselves as STEM professionals. So working out like college and career access, how do you combine that, having panels of diverse professionals come in and talk to the students. So yeah, the summer programs is what I have most experience with, and I've just loved. And I'm excited to see how classroom teachers make this work too. But that's something I'm still relatively new, and amazing to me that teachers are able to do it, because it's a lot. It's a big time investment to do it, but it really pays off, as is Globe. I mean, it's the same kind of deal.
Just a very quick follow-up. We all know many of wonderful programs, and it looks like it's a sort of a common thing to propose and have a PD for teachers on data. So I was just wondering if you have any special PD for teachers on data analytics, or so where are you coming? So I'm just comparing those data PD at the different level and different formats. So where you are in PD for data for teachers. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, because the building of the suitcase takes a while, most of the time that we spend with teachers when we're in person focuses on building. We do have, so we do try and get teachers to collect data during our professional developments. The actual analysis, I think that's a place we can improve, is have more, some more kind of concrete data analysis, professional development and curriculum for students as well.
Thank you. And sorry, it looks like Mike has his hands up. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Anna, maybe kind of an odd question. So I teach an appropriate technologies class at the university level. So is there a way that we could help support your program? I know, so we build projects that end up being deployed in Haiti and Ghana and things like that. But if there was a way to support your program, I would love to.
Okay.
Try to
You
do
said
that.
appropriate technology.
Appropriate technology. So we've, in Costa Rica, we designed a Pico hydro program so basically generating electricity by moving water with very small sort of stream-based generators.
Wow.
Or doing water, solar pasteurization projects, and so those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to connect and find out more about.
I don't know if you have. I don't know how you the components that are in the suitcase. I don't know if they're all. I know they're designed on the education side for them to be disconnected, but if there were the sharing side, if there was a way we could contribute to that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we're so when we do our installations, we're always trying to work with local installers. So like in Kenya, we have this group, all female solar installation, all Kenyan team, which is incredible. So they receive the suitcases. They recently, I think, received a batch of about 60. They receive them, they go out to all over the country, rural areas, and they're the people with helmets climbing on roofs, and these kids are seeing these women, just women, installing the suitcases, which is amazing. So, and sometimes we're asked like, oh, can you send something to this country or to this country? But without the connection on the ground, it's hard for us to, we can't just kind of send suitcases. We need to have an installation team that is trained. So yeah, any connections with other countries would be great. I'd love to find out more about what you do.
Thanks.
So I have a question. With this, so you have teachers that have the kits in the classroom, and then they're using the curriculum part of it, but then they can also build it to be sent somewhere, or is it just that they sponsor a kit to go somewhere, or do they actually build it and send it?
Yeah, the actual kit gets built. So for me, kind of the ideal scenario is a teacher gets funding for 8 of these. 7 of them stay in the classroom and 1 of them ends up getting deployed. And then we always try and find what we call legacy funding, where the school's already got 7 and then each year they get another one to deploy. And the kids get to write. They can write their names in the suitcase and then they get photos back of where the suitcase ended up, of people using it. And they can see, they can decorate it too. And one of my proudest things I've done is I actually wrote an art lesson, which I don't know anything about art, but I wrote an art lesson to encourage students to think about how do you communicate with people that live in a completely different part of the world. You're not going to meet them, but how do you kind of find similarities? And because a lot of our program is about, and we're always working on this, it's we don't want to perpetuate a white savior narrative of having kids think, oh well, I built this thing and I sent it, therefore I'm great and I'm done, I've done my good deed, I'm fine. So we're really focused on trying to build connection, even though they're not going to. Sometimes they get to talk to each other, and when that happens, it's incredible. I've had kids in Oakland Skype with girls in Nairobi, which was just mind-blowing. But most of the time that's not possible. So we had these kids in Minnesota produce this art piece that went in the suitcase where they'd done some research about agriculture in Uganda compared to their state, and they'd found like the cow, each area's like cow, I had a picture of the two cows and the like main crop, and kind of made the connections between their way of life and the way of life in Uganda where the suitcase was going to, and then put it in the suitcase so the students received it, and they write letters as well. So yeah, there's a connection, and that's the research so far has found that is really impactful, that when the students know that the thing that they're building is actually going to be used by other people, it helps them find the whole process more engaging.
Awesome. So we have 3 more minutes before we are at the top of the hour. So does anybody else have a question? So Henry, Janet, Dave, Kristen, Amaya?
Looks like Alicia's companion has a question.
I don't know if you can hear me. She doesn't know much about solar power, so she's leaving.
You called her out, Larissa.
I have a question. Likes to sit in the sun and bask in the sun.
Henry.
So you said you're using it. You said you're using it for middle school kids mostly.
Middle and mostly high school, but middle school too.
Okay, and like, do they continue to make like new lessons, or are they like these are the lessons that are set? Are they creating new content for it?
Yeah. We're always creating new content. I mean, that's kind of since I've come on board as the science teacher, because I was developing curriculum for them before, but now I'm doing all the time. So yeah, okay. It's always getting updated and improved.
And it's all online.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Great presentation. Enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Feel free to check out our website. Our the origin story is kind of interesting, and it initially started as a healthcare initiative, and then the education. It's just an interesting story, and you can see all about where it all came from on the website.
I think it would be interesting to hear if you do a connection with Globe protocols.
Yeah,
how that goes.
Yeah, we just had the North American regional meeting, and one of our topics was globe adjacent resources.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah, so talking about things like this, I think is a great way, because you know how difficult it is, globe is, right, to integrate, make a case for the time investment.
Right.
But I think the more connections we can make between these other resources and globe, it strengthens the whole picture.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, it is top of the hour now. So thank you so much for presenting. I really appreciate this. I'm so glad to have you back. When Tracy told me you had left, I was like, no. So definitely keep us in mind, and please stay in touch and let us know when and if Globe plays into anything coming up. And
sure.
I know that people will definitely follow up with you. So if it's okay with you, we're gonna edit this and post it online.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. So we will definitely share this out, because I know people were curious about this, but they couldn't make time today. So, but thank you again, Anna. We really appreciate it.